Today, Gabriella was about to have a really tough talk with her parents. Deep down, she was so terrified of the conversation ahead that her knees were shaking. Oh, how hard this was going to be for her. How will Mom and Dad take this news? Gabriella wondered. What will they say? How will they react? Well, my parents are kind-hearted people. They'll understand and forgive. Trying to reassure herself, Gabriella slowly approached her apartment and, mustering up some courage, stepped inside. Hearing the door open, Taylor peeked out from the kitchen and smiled. Gabriella, is that you? Hurry and wash your hands, then come to the kitchen. Dad's already eating. Gabriella quietly headed to the bathroom, washed her hands, and entered the kitchen, feeling a bit embarrassed. What's up? You look like you got a bad grade and are afraid to confess. But there wasn't any test at the institute today, was there? Gabriella sat down at the table and softly said, Mom, Dad, I need to tell you something. She took a deep breath and blurted out, as if afraid she'd back out. I have converted to Islam. Her father's spoon clattered to the floor. Her mother stopped mixing the salad and stared at her daughter in disbelief. What did you say? I didn't understand, dear. Is this some kind of joke among young people? Ethan asked. No, I'm not joking, Gabriella insisted. I have really become a Muslim. This is my conscious decision. An overwhelming silence filled the room. Her parents looked at her as if seeing her for the first time. I see it. Her father's voice sounded ominous. And what's your name now? Rayhana, Gabriella muttered. This was turning out to be much worse than she had expected. Gabriella, have you lost your mind? Her mother shook her head. Do you even understand what you've done? Don't ask, Mother. Her father said sarcastically. What if Rayhana doesn't like it and blows us all up? Her father got up from the table and started pacing the small kitchen. Just think, there is an apostate in our family. How can we put up with this? Taylor, where did we make a mistake in her upbringing? Mom, Dad, you have to understand me. Gabriella whispered through tears. I had to. To whom? Your immortal soul. Ethan stopped in front of his daughter. I can picture you, in a burqa, with a fan in your hands, serving your lord in a skull cap or turban. What do you do there? Wash your husband's feet. Or maybe she joined some sect for ideological reasons. Taylor poured herself some calming drops into a glass. Her father slammed the table loudly. There will be no Muslims in my family. That's my final word. Her mother added, You can become an atheist, but not a Muslim. Gabriella asked through clenched teeth, Are you kicking me out? Her father nodded. Our daughter was named Gabriella, not Rayhana. When you get tired of Islam, you can come back. Outwardly calm, Gabriella left the kitchen, went to her room, and started packing her things. Inside, she was a raging fire. They didn't even let her explain. They didn't want to listen. From the kitchen came her mother's sobs and her father's quiet, soothing words. This is how Gabriella ended up living in a dormitory, and everything had started so well. She suddenly remembered, as if it was just a few hours ago, how love had come to her. At the institute where Gabriella studied, there was a guy in her class who immediately caught her eye. Tyler was a serious, focused young man with a striking appearance, tall, well-built, dark-skinned, with black hair and eyes. Something about him was so captivating that Gabriella fell in love instantly, irrevocably and forever. However, at the time, Tyler was completely unaware of her feelings. He was entirely devoted to his studies, didn't participate in student gatherings, avoided parties, and like her, lived at home instead of in the dormitory. But fate eventually brought them together. During an internship with a student construction team, they finally crossed paths. How much fun they had. During the day they worked. In the evening, they sang songs with a guitar by the fire. had interesting conversations, shared jokes, and enjoyed moonlit dates. Tyler finally noticed Gabriella and began courting her. Gabriella was terrified of losing her newfound luck. Everyone looked at the unusual couple with undisguised envy. There was a sharp contrast between them. The handsome, dark-skinned Tyler of Southern descent and the fragile, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Gabriella. In the throes of love, Gabriella learned that her beloved came from a Muslim family. His parents were not nationalists, but strictly adhered to their faith. Therefore, Tyler didn't drink, didn't smoke, treated girls with respect, and honored his elders. Tyler's family had moved to the city long before Tyler was born, from one of the Muslim republics. His father held a high position in the city administration, and his mother, a homemaker, devoted all her time to caring for her family. They regularly attended the mosque. Tyler also learned that Gabriella came from a family and that her parents were deeply religious people. Despite these differences, the young couple plunged headfirst into their feelings, trying not to think too much about the future. However, sometimes their conversations touched on family matters. "Tyler, what should we do? Your parents will never accept me, a Christian, into their family." Gabriella sighed. "Yeah, just like mine won't accept me." Tyler replied gloomily, "Don't worry, Gabriella. Our love will overcome all obstacles. Faith is the same for everyone. It's faith in God. It doesn't matter if he is called Allah or not. In the end, we can simply run away from our families and live separately. Yeah, run away and lose our relatives." These conversations usually ended without resolution. All dreams about the future were put on hold, focusing first on finishing the institute, getting a profession, and then thinking about joining their lives. This continued for 2 years. One day, as the lovers were nearing the end of their 4th year, Tyler fell ill and was taken from the classroom by ambulance. Gabriella immediately followed. She had to wait quite a while until he was examined. Just as she was about to meet the doctor, she saw Tyler's worried parents quickly walking into the department. She didn't know them, but recognized them immediately, as the son looked so much like his father. Gabriella decided to wait in the corridor until the parents learned everything. Finally, the man and woman came out of the office and tiredly sank onto the couch. The father held his head in his hands, and the mother quietly cried. Beside herself with anxiety, Gabriella ran up to them and shouted, "What's wrong with Tyler? Please answer. Don't be silent. Is he alive?" Unable to contain herself, she burst into tears. Tyler's parents stared at the unfamiliar blonde girl with amazement. "Alive," the father replied. "And who are you?" "I'm Gabriella," she breathed out with relief. "How do you know our son, Gabriella? Do you study together?" "Yes." She decided to tell the truth. "We've been dating for 2 years." "I see." The man drawled, while the woman covered her open mouth with a handkerchief. "Our son never told us about this." "Please tell me what's wrong with Tyler," Gabriella pleaded. "It's bad, very bad. He's been diagnosed with cancer, and it was discovered very late." "I don't believe you. This can't be true." "He never complained about anything. He was perfectly healthy." Tyler's father leaned heavily against the wall. "That's the insidiousness of this disease. It doesn't reveal itself until it's too late." "But isn't it possible to have surgery, chemotherapy, or whatever else is done in such cases?" Gabriella cried again. "We will do everything necessary, of course. Everything that needs to be done will be done," the man said, somewhat lost, and both women burst into tears. Gabriella visited her beloved in the hospital every day. She tried to cheer him up with funny stories from the institute, but it was all too real. Tyler had become gaunt and thin. Though he kept his sense of humor, joking and smiling, the spark in his eyes was gone. One day, Gabriella arrived when Tyler's parents were visiting. They smiled at her kindly, and his mother even patted her warmly on the head. They said their goodbyes and left quickly. What's up with them? Gabriella joked. How they suddenly started to like me, the infidel. Tyler waved his hand dismissively. They're thinking all sorts of nonsense. They've decided to marry me off before I die. They want a grandson and heir. Don't pay attention. Wait, marry whom? Gabriella was taken aback. You, of course, who else? Tyler smiled. Really? Tyler, I want to marry you so much. Let's get married. You see, Gabriella, there's one thing. They want you to convert to Islam. Knowing her beloved didn't have much time left, Gabriella didn't hesitate for a second. Tyler, I'll be right back. And she bolted out of the room. Seeing Tyler's parents walking away, she shouted, Wait, please. They stopped and looked back in surprise. I agree. The breathless girl blurted out. Agree to what, dear? The mother asked, already understanding. I will convert to Islam to marry Tyler. That's good. The father sighed with relief. You go to your son. I'll take care of everything. With shining eyes, Gabriella rushed back to Tyler's room. Tyler, I'm converting to Islam. Now propose to me immediately. And I'm warning you in advance. I'll say yes. What about your parents? Tyler asked, delighted. I won't tell them anything for now. I'll present them with the accomplished fact. They're not monsters after all. I'm their only child. They love me and will understand. The conversion to Islam was as solemn and beautiful as a fairy tale from 1001 Nights. Tyler was discharged from the hospital. He continued his studies, took numerous medications, and visited the clinic regularly. Soon, the groom's parents set the wedding date. It was decided to follow the usual, accepted scenario: a restaurant, a white dress, a black suit, witnesses, guests, the bride's ransom, and all other wedding joys. And of course, the parents of the bride and groom. That's when it was time for Gabriella to face her parents, where the memorable conversation and ultimatum took place. On the happiest day of her life, Gabriella cried in the morning. She couldn't even invite her parents to the wedding. They simply refused to talk to her, considering her a traitor. She managed to invite only her cousin Evelyn, who knew everything and agreed to be her witness. There was nothing to be done. This might be the last celebration where her beloved could enjoy himself. For the happiness of seeing Tyler's smile and joy, Gabriella was ready for anything. The celebration was in full swing. It was fun, beautiful, and luxurious. Toasts were made, and shouts of bitter echoed. And suddenly, at the end of the hall, Gabriella saw Taylor and Ethan, dressed up and holding bouquets of flowers, standing in confusion. Gabriella rushed to them. Mom, Dad, I'm so happy you decided to come. That on this most precious day for me. You forgave me and came. Quiet, calm down. Ethan awkwardly avoided his daughter's kisses. You'll strangle me. Come on, introduce us to the groom and the in-laws. Don't pounce on me like that. Daughter, her mother embraced her. Why didn't you tell us what was happening? You shocked us and ran away. Luckily, Evelyn explained everything. Gabriella laughed happily. You didn't give me a chance to say a word. When she introduced her parents to her husband and his parents, her father managed to whisper in her ear, Gabriella, forgive us, old fools. To be honest, we are proud of you. Such self-sacrifice for the sake of a loved one. Everyone was happy with the wedding. Guests, relatives, the newlyweds, and both sets of parents. Soon the couple had a son followed by a daughter. Gabriella, now Rayhana, was a wonderful wife, mother, and daughter-in-law. Thanks to her efforts, her beloved Tyler lived for many more years with his illness. After all, what is most important for a person? To be loved, to be appreciated, to have a home filled with abundance, and for your children and parents to be alive and healthy.